Thank you for joining us. David Heurtel in for Elias this morning. Well, some bad news coming from the CHSLD Robert Clich, which is in the Rosemont-Petite-Patrie borough here in Montreal. An investigation highlights severe issues in care standings, raising concerns about the treatment of the elderly in Quebec's long-term care facilities. We're talking about systemic abuse and neglect, residents being ignored, meals often served cold or very late, a lot of issues, and this does not seem to be isolated. So to help us try to make some sense out of all of this, happy to be joined by Matt Del Vecchio. You know him well. He is the owner of Lianas Senior Transition Support and host of Life Unrehearsed, Sundays at 4 p.m. right here on CJAD 800. Matt, thank you for coming on this morning.
You're welcome, David.
What was your reaction to this investigation in La Presse?
Well, very alarming. Goes to show we still have a long ways to go. You know, I will say that there have been improvements since the pandemic. Obviously, the light was shown on the neglect being done in long-term care homes. We were making progress. I even had the mayor of Westmount, Christina Smith, on my show a month ago, talking about how the transition of her father into CHSLD Vigie Montreal went, and it went quite well. And that was one of the worst hit CHSLDs, you know, so I get the occasional, better than expected. And then we get hit with something that's going on at the CHSLD Robert Clich, and it really shows that we have a long ways to go.
So when I read this, I was like, okay, is this still remnants of the pandemic? As you say, maybe there's still a lot to fix, or is this part of a bigger problem? What do you think needs to be done here? Because when I read something like this, I'm like, oh my goodness, everything that was said, the government saying, okay, we're going to put the resources, this is about our seniors, we have to be there for them. And then to see this has to be discouraging.
Yeah, it's a step backwards for sure, David. I would say, there are several factors, 3 factors that I would focus in on, because what is very difficult and frustrating, I think, for the public is that we can't generalize that this is happening in all CHSLDs. Why is it that they all have the same norms, the same guidelines, the same standards, the same staff-to-resident ratio, yet we have vast differences in quality of care? And I think one of the biggest factors is related to the actual running, the management of the CHSLDs. There are some very good, well-run, well-managed CHSLDs, and there are some that are not good. And this is a prime example at Robert Clich, where they just wiped out the management team, brought in a new management team, had to get rid of some employees, and things are improving. So I think management, proper management, effective management is a big part of it. I also think one of the factors is that there's not enough accountability and monitoring. It's sometimes it almost feels like the wild, wild west, so we need to have more accountability, more monitoring of the management, of the employees, and partly that's the public's interest to do so. Go see mom and dad, have sets of eyes and ears on them as well. But it can't rely solely on the public to do that. We need our system to be better accountable. And I would say this is just broad stroking it in all sectors, David, as you just had with the pharmacist. The labor shortage it's not easy, and as we know in the healthcare system, it is also affected by difficulty finding good employees.
So, Matt, I appreciate the fact that you say, wait, we cannot generalize. It's not every CHSLD that is like Robert Clich, but at the same time, just anecdotally, and I know you don't have the stats, but I mean, do you feel that this is far-ranging? Is it? Do you feel it's like 1 in 5? Is it half? I mean, how bad is it on the ground?
Yeah, and I don't have those stats,
of course.
Obviously, David.
I don't expect you to.
What I can say, and I'm going back, I always like to compare pre-pandemic, post-pandemic.
Yeah.
What I can see, and I'm in all of them. I'm in the public, I'm in the private CHSLDs, the RPAs all the time. In general, things have improved,
Good.
and I would even say in some areas drastically improved. Does that mean we have to rest on our laurels? No, not at all. We have a long ways to go. Just little things, but important things. 4,500 people, David, still waiting to get into a CHSLD. 20,000 people waiting to get home care. And we need to shift our philosophy related to home care as well. If we could improve the home care, there will be less stress on the CHSLDs. For whatever reason, in Quebec, we got it backwards, and we're focusing on pouring money into the CHSLDs, what we have to do, but we need to do a lot more resources and time to help people live at home longer so we can avoid the stress we're putting on CHSLDs.
So when you see your parents or a family member in a very difficult situation in a CHSLD or an RPA, what is the advice here, Matt? Because I would suspect that it's not that easy to just move that senior from one CHSLD to another. And two, I mean, if you raise the issue, you might be afraid for reprisals against your senior family member. Or there could be negative consequences if you blow the whistle. So I'm just wondering, how do you deal really concretely with a situation where you see, oh my goodness, my father, my mother, my grandfather is not getting decent care here?
Right. And a very good point. I think what's most important, we need to be more present with our grandparents, with our mom or dad, be the eyes and ears. It's difficult for people, though. They're working.
Yeah.
Some adult children are out of town. We have to deal with these issues.
Sure.
But the more you could be present, it is very important to be there. Have your eyes and ears. Speak up. I would also add what some families are doing. Show up at unconventional hours, David. Show up maybe a little earlier or a little later.
Not just on the weekends, or nights.
Exactly, not the traditional hours. And, a controversial one, but I'm seeing it more and more. I'll get a lot of families asking, hey, can I put up a camera in the room?
Oh.
And you absolutely have the legal right to put a camera in your room.
Wow.
You have to advise. You have to be in writing and advise the staff that there is a camera there. We're seeing more and more of that, and it is legal to do so. However, I have to say, although we knock the public system at times, there is a formal complaints commissioner in all CSs. And this CHSLD Robert Cliché is an example of it actually working. Believe it or not, there were 38 families and 70 employees interviewed from the complaints commissioner just in this one CHSLD. So squeaky wheel will, gets the grease. Yes, I understand families are concerned. Hey, if I speak up, they're going to mistreat my mom or dad. Well, you know what? I also like talking to other families in the hallway, in the residence. And if all of a sudden, hey, maybe it's just not my mom or dad I have concerns about. So no problem going to the complaints commissioner. It's easy to access every CS online, very quick, very simple, and this led to improvements at the CHSLD Robert Cliché.
So maybe a good idea also to check in with other families of other seniors that are staying in the same CHSLD. See if there could be some sort of a group effort here on complaining and following the process.
Exactly. This also alleviates the issue. I better keep my mouth shut. I don't want mom to be mistreated. Right. All of a sudden, you're talking at the cafeteria to other families, and if it's a group effort, that will help you out. You won't feel as isolated, and you're getting the word out, and you feel more confident in letting your concerns out.
So this complaint mechanism is at the CIUS level. It's not at the actual CHSLD, correct?
We always start with the local CHSLD.
Okay. You start.
Always start there. Do it, internally. Try to get issues settled with management right there on the spot. It's at those times, if you feel you are not being served, not getting the answers, then you scale it up to your local CIUS, and there's a formal process in place, and they will listen to you.
Very interesting advice, as always. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, David.
Matt Del Vecchio is owner of Lianas Senior Transition Support and host of Life Unrehearsed, Sundays at 4 p.m. on CJAD 800.